If you like using English to think about your life with more honesty and courage, stay around and subscribe. It keeps this kind of reflection close to you and close to your routine. Let us begin. You have probably heard this phrase many times. You can do anything. On posters, in motivational videos, in school speeches, sometimes from well-meaning friends. It sounds beautiful. It sounds empowering. But often it does not feel true. Because in real life, you look around and you see limits. You see bills, responsibilities, your age, your anxiety, your family situation, your body, your past. And a quiet voice inside says, maybe other people can do anything, but I cannot. Not with my life, not with my story. Today, I want to talk to you about this tension between the romantic idea that you can do anything and the realistic feeling that life is full of constraints. And I want to explore something deeper with you. You have only one life, at least as far as we know. One chance in this specific body, in this specific time, with this specific story. So the real question is not, can I do absolutely anything? The real question is, what can I do with what I have? And what am I refusing to do because of fear, not because of real limits? We are going to talk about the difference between fantasy freedom and real freedom. The limits that are concrete and the limits that are mostly mental. Why one life, one chance can paralyze you or wake you up. How to stop using your story as a prison and start using it as material. And how to move toward the things that matter to you, even if you are scared, late, or imperfect. First, let us look at this idea. You can do anything. Literally, this is false. You cannot be in two places at once. You cannot go back and be a child again. You cannot change the laws of physics. You cannot erase every consequence of your past. You cannot be a professional athlete in 10 different sports at the same time. You cannot live every possible life. Every choice you make excludes other possibilities. If you choose to live in one country, you are not living in all the others. If you choose one relationship, you are not in all the others. If you choose one career path, you are saying no to many others. So, in that sense, you cannot do everything. But there is another sense in which you can do anything points to something true. It points to this fact. You are capable of much more than the most fearful part of your mind believes. You can learn skills you do not have today. You can change habits that feel permanent. You can open doors that you think are closed. You can surprise yourself. The problem is not that you are weak. The problem is that you often negotiate your dreams with your fear instead of with reality. Let us explore this by talking about two kinds of limits: hard limits and soft limits. Hard limits are things that you genuinely cannot change, at least not easily or not at all. For example, the past, your exact height, your exact childhood, the fact that there are only 24 hours in a day, the fact that you cannot live two different lives at the same time. Soft limits are beliefs, habits, fears, and circumstances that feel permanent but are actually flexible. For example, I am bad with languages. I cannot talk to people. I will always procrastinate. I am too old to start. I am not creative. I am not disciplined. I am not the kind of person who does that. Often, what really limits your life is not the hard limits. It is your relationship with the soft ones. You treat them like hard limits. You say, "This is just who I am." But many times, it is not who you are. It is a pattern. It is a story. It is a reaction. When you hear, "You can do anything," your fearful mind brings all the hard limits and says, "See, this is a lie." But the real invitation is different. It is not, "You can do everything at once without difficulty." It is more like, "You can do much more than you are currently allowing yourself to try, and you have one life to explore that potential." Now let us talk about one life, one chance. This idea can have two opposite effects. For some people, it creates pressure. One life, one chance. So if I do not become a genius, a millionaire, a legend, I failed. This mentality turns life into a competition. You imagine a scoreboard. You imagine someone watching and grading your existence. You feel late, behind, not enough. For other people, the same idea creates a different effect. It creates urgency, not panic, not nihilism, but a kind of clear awareness. I do not know how long I will be here, so if I want to love, I should love. If I want to create, I should create. If I want to change direction, I should begin. The goal is to use one life, one chance, not as a whip, but as a wake-up call. A reminder that postponing everything important to one day is dangerous. Because one day is not a date in the calendar. It is a polite way to say, maybe never. Let us slow this down with a simple exercise. Imagine that you change nothing. You continue your life exactly as it is now. Same routine, same excuses, same fears, same distractions, same numbing habits. Move this forward in your mind. 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. How do you feel when you imagine that? Not dramatically, not with guilt, just honestly. Maybe you feel calm. Maybe your current direction is aligned with who you want to be. If that is the case, wonderful. But maybe you feel a quiet discomfort, a sense of, this is not the life I really want. I am surviving. I am not really living. That discomfort is not your enemy. It is information. It is a signal saying, there is something you are not giving yourself permission to explore. Now think about one thing, just one. Something that, if you could move toward it in this one life, would make your days more meaningful. Maybe it is learning a language, changing careers, starting a small business, writing, painting, playing music, traveling to a specific place, creating content, improving your health, healing a relationship, leaving a relationship, becoming a more present parent, helping in a cause that matters to you. Do not choose something because it sounds impressive. Choose something that is quietly important to you. Often, these desires are modest on the outside, but huge on the inside. Maybe the fearful part of you immediately brings excuses. I do not have time. I do not have money. I am too old. I am too young. I do not have support. I do not know where to start. Some of these may be partially true. Life has real constraints. But usually, the first excuse is not the full story. The deeper truth might be, I am afraid of failing. I am afraid of looking ridiculous. I am afraid of disappointing others. I am afraid that if I really try and still fail, I will lose the last illusion that I could have been more. So instead of trying and risking pain, you stay in a safe zone of fantasy. You say to yourself, if I wanted, I could. But you never test that sentence. In theory, you can do anything. In practice, you are not doing the one thing that would matter to you. Now I want to be very clear. I am not saying you must abandon all security, all stability, all responsibilities to chase some dream. Sometimes that is not wise. Sometimes other people depend on you. What I am saying is this: you can move toward what matters with intelligence. You can begin in small ways. You can negotiate with reality, not with fear. For example, if your dream is to change careers, maybe you cannot quit your job right now, but you can. Study a little every day. Talk to people in the area you want to enter. Build skills on the side. Save money to create a safety margin. Test small projects. If your dream is to travel, maybe you cannot do a 6-month trip right now, but you can. Research. Learn the language of the place. Plan a shorter trip. Cut some expenses. Take steps. If your dream is to create something artistic, maybe you will not live entirely from that art, but you can. Create at night. Create on weekends. Share with a small audience. Let it exist. You can do anything does not have to mean you must drop everything now. It can mean you are allowed to start building a bridge from where you are to where you want to be. Many people never begin this bridge because they compare their first step with someone else's final result. They look at the person who is already fluent, already successful, already fit, already established, and they say, "I am too far behind." So they stop. But when that person began, they were also a beginner. The difference is not that they could do anything and you cannot. The difference is that at some point they accepted being bad at something long enough to become good. They accepted the discomfort of being a beginner. If you want to use your one life well, you need to become friends with being a beginner again and again. Now let us talk about identity. Sometimes the real obstacle is not outside. It is the image you have of yourself. If deep inside you believe, "I am the kind of person who never finishes anything. I am the one who always disappoints. I am the lazy one. I am the shy one. I am the one who stays in the background," you will sabotage your attempts to do something different. Because changing your life would also require changing your identity. And that is scary. Your mind prefers a familiar suffering to an unfamiliar possibility. One way to work with this is to make your identity more flexible. Instead of saying, "I am the kind of person who never finishes anything," you can say, "Until now, I have had a pattern of not finishing things, but I am capable of building a new pattern." That small change in language matters. It opens the door. Until now is different from forever. Remember, one life does not mean one fixed version of you. You will live many internal lives inside this one physical life. You will change roles. You will change opinions. You will change tastes. You will change values. You can participate in that change consciously. Now there is another shadow around "you can do anything." It is the idea that if you are not doing something huge, your life does not matter. If you are not famous, if you are not a millionaire, if you are not transforming the world, this is a lie that creates a lot of quiet despair. Your life does not need to be spectacular to be meaningful. You can use your one chance in simple, powerful ways. Being a present friend, raising children with love and boundaries, doing your work with integrity, being kind in a cruel environment, taking care of your health, learning and teaching, creating small pockets of beauty. You do not need the whole world to know your name for your life to be a success. You need to know deep inside that you used your time with honesty, courage, and care. So when we say, you can do anything, maybe we can translate it into more precise sentences. You can learn more than you think. You can change more than you think. You can recover from more than you think. You can contribute more than you think. You can live closer to your values than you think. Not instantly, not without fear, not without effort, but step by step. Now let us make this even more practical. Think again about that one thing that matters to you. Not 10, just one. Ask yourself 3 questions. First, what is one tiny action related to this that I can do in the next 24 hours? Not a big dramatic gesture. Something like, watch one video about it, read one page, send one message, write one paragraph, walk for 10 minutes, look for one opportunity, write down ideas. Second, what is one recurring action I can do every week that moves me 1 centimeter closer? Maybe. Study twice a week, practice 3 times a week, call someone every Sunday, save a small amount of money, create something every Saturday. Third, what is one belief I need to question if I really want to move toward this? Maybe, I am too late. I am alone. I always fail. I must have everything figured out before I start. Write these answers down, not because writing magically changes your life, but because it transforms a vague desire into something concrete. One life, one chance, one small step at a time. There is one more piece we need to talk about: regret. Many people carry a heavy bag of what-ifs. What if I had started earlier? What if I had said yes? What if I had said no? What if I had been braver? Sometimes regret becomes a reason to stop trying. You tell yourself, I wasted so much time already. There is no point now. But regret can also be used differently. Regret is proof that something matters to you. If you regret not having taken care of your health, it means health matters. If you regret not having spent more time with someone, it means connection matters. If you regret not having tried something, it means that thing has value for you. Instead of using regret to attack yourself, you can use it as guidance. You can say, I do not want to feel this same regret 10 years from now about the things I still have power over. You cannot change the past, but you can change your relationship with the present so that your future regrets are smaller. To close, I want you to imagine something. Imagine you are at the end of your life. You look back. If you see that you lived safely, politely, always inside the expectations of others, always inside your fear, always postponing everything difficult or beautiful for later, what would you feel? And if you see that you did not do everything, but you did move toward what mattered, even imperfectly, that you loved, that you tried, that you asked for help, that you created, that you rested when you needed, that you apologized when you were wrong, that you changed direction when necessary, how different would that feel? You have one life, not to do everything, not to impress everyone, not to win some invisible contest. You have one life to explore who you can become when you stop negotiating everything with fear and start negotiating with reality and with your values. You will never feel ready. You will never feel completely safe. You will never remove all obstacles. But you can begin. You can do anything. Not in the sense of living every possible life. In the sense of choosing with awareness the kind of life you will actually live with this one chance. See you in the next video.